Hello YouTubers, it's JSkyler91 again, and today I'm going to go over how to be color neutral. This is a hot topic, especially on speedsolving.com, and just among a lot of people. A lot of people have adamant arguments one way or the other, but I think the general thing most people agree is that being color neutral is a good thing. The thing that people have trouble with is how to do it. Now, really quickly, I'm going to throw out reasons why you should do it. And then I'll teach you how I did it and how I think you should do it. So first of all, being color neutral is not just about having a shorter cross, which it does have a shorter cross. You know, if you look at Lars Vandenberg's studies he did, we're looking at a move less per average per cross. And that is significant. That's one move. But a lot of people say that's not worth it to them to put the effort in. But it's not just that. It's because you have a one move shorter cross, not only do you get a short cross, but you also get better look ahead into your first pair. So if I scramble the cube and I find the best cross here, this is a bit of a bold statement, but I'd probably venture to say it is yellow, because I've got those two in opposites, and those are incorrect relative position of one another. I'd probably toss these in, move it over, toss those in. So now everything's in opposites, then do a D2. So, as I was doing that, though, because it was such a simple cross, I was able to not even think about doing that. I was already looking for my next pairs, which I found this was this one right here. Put that in. Back over there. Now, because I already knew who that was as I was finishing my cross, I didn't need to think about that, so I could then move on to doing this next pair, without thinking about it. And then I was thinking, oh, I need my next pair, which is this pair. And then I just continue moving on like that. And it just makes the entire transition a lot faster. So yeah, so it not only improves your cross times, but your transition speeds as well, which makes your solve a lot smoother, and overall it's going to decrease your times a lot more. Plus, if you're an advanced solver, and I always hear people saying, oh, I'm sub 10 seconds, why should I change now? It's going to be difficult. Well, if you're an advanced solver, you have even more to gain from being color neutral, because you already probably practice doing X crosses and tons of different things like that. Well, now you have 6 chances to get an X cross, as opposed to just 1. So you have 5 more chances out of 6 that you're going to get an X cross. It's going to be a lot easier because you're going to have more choices. So you stand to gain even more than I think those of us who aren't that great at cubing do. So yeah, I really recommend it. I don't really see any downsides to it. The biggest thing people say is that when they do it single color cross, that they can look ahead better because they have this filter they turn on where they don't look at any other colors. Well, that's exactly what I'm going to teach you to do with just 6 different filters instead of 1 filter. And it's really not that difficult. As far as the time frame, I guess I'm going to move on. I don't want to rant too much. As far as the time frame for doing this, I honestly think you can be changed to color neutral in a month. I think that when you do this, it's not, at the end of the month, you're not going to be 100% perfect at color neutral, but I think you'll be able to do the same times as you started off with in a month. Now, a lot of people say, oh, that's a month that I lost of cubing. It's not, really, because you're gaining such a valuable skill. 1 month in exchange for the opportunity to have 5 more chances to get an X cross, a shorter cross overall, and all these other things will make it so much worth it. And I mean, it could take shorter if you want, but I will tell you this, by the end of 2 months, if you stick to it the way I tell you to, you will certainly have improved, because you will have all those gains. And you won't even be remotely thinking about color neutrality. I would venture to say by the end of the month, you shouldn't be thinking about it anymore. It just comes naturally. So yeah. As far as doing this is the difficult part. Most people are like, oh, it's great, but it takes too long. It's all these hard things. It's really not. For me, all that color neutrality is simply color filters. As people say they have for white. When they're solving their F2L on white, people say, oh, I only look at the colors that I'm working with. So, white is my bottom. I only look for white pieces. Oh, look, I found a white, therefore I can move to it. Oh, look, I found another white. Oh, look, another white. And they just move on like that, right? Well, for me, it's the same thing when I do color neutral. I just look for color filters. So if I'm doing red, let's say, I mix up the cross. I wouldn't choose red before I did this, but I would just be like, okay, I'm only looking at red colors now. So let's see. I can do red like that. I think that was, nah, that was a pretty shitty cross. I wasn't really thinking about it. But I do red, and I'm only looking for red. Now I finish doing my cross, and I say, oh, red. Found a red piece. Where's the pair? It was right here. Put it there. Another red there. Put it there. Another red here. There. And then I probably shouldn't have done the cube rotation there to there. Those pairs right there. And you're just going to basically turn on your filter. You don't look at any colors that aren't red. And then you just learn to look for particular patterns, which is another part of it. So, you know, this F to our L pair, the triple trigger, that's pretty recognizable, right? It's opposites in a bar. I look for that on anything. I don't need to have it white in order to do that. If it's green, right here, it's just, or red is my bottom, and I do it, it's the same pattern. I have a red, I found that red, sweet. Look for the pattern. Oh, this is a particular pattern, I execute that pattern, right? You don't need to have the certain color in order to do that. But, okay, so yeah, that's how we're going to do. We're going to use color filters, and we're going to develop them. So, there are 3 filters. 1, 2, 3, yes, 3 different filters you're going to have to develop. It's not that hard. You're going to have a white-yellow filter, and, oh, sorry, I was just checking to make sure the time there wasn't going to craziness. White-yellow filter, which you pretty much already have developed if you are a single color. And that basically means you're going to look for white and yellow corners and white and yellow edges. Now, there are particular edge sets that you use for each of these. So, in this case, I know that the only edges I'm going to be working with are these 4 edges and these 4 corners. So I develop a particular mindset for this. So I know I'm doing, let's say I'm doing yellow, and this is how I recommend starting. You start out with the most familiar color with you. If I see this corner, or this particular corner, I know the corresponding edge, just like immediately, because it's a particular filter. I know that it was right there, and it happened to be right next to it. So yeah, we're going to develop those filters and learn to think of them like that. And it'll just come through practice. You'll just start to realize that there are particular edges that you only have to work out, and you only look for these corners and these edges. And that just comes from practice. I recommend you already know white probably, so switch to yellow, because that's the most familiar to make it really easy. If you get nothing out of this, you'll at least be bicolor neutral, because that is like 100% worth it. Twice the chance that you're going to get a better cross. And you are going to practice yellows. You're only going to do yellows now. Don't ever do white anymore, even if it has a better pair. This is the key. So my 3 things I think everyone needs is practice, persistence, and oh my god, what was that on? Oh, and well, an attitude basically. I had a P for it. I can't remember what it was. But basically, you're going to make sure that you keep yourself practicing the same one. You persist with that same color that you're practicing. So in this case, we're setting the white. And you have the attitude in your mind that the reason you're doing this is because it's going to help you out in the long run. Don't give up. Never stop doing what you're doing. So if you switch to a color, only do that color. And what I want you to do is I want you to do that color for about 5 days. Okay? I know this sounds like a lot, but it's really not that bad. If you stick to it for 5 days, I guarantee you by the end of those 5 days, that color will be should be as strong as your main color. Okay? So in this case, I'm going to do yellow. I'm going to switch to yellow. I'm only going to do yellow. And this shouldn't be that bad. This one I'd actually probably only recommend doing 4 days, because yellow's going to be really comfortable if you were to do this. It has the same edge pairs, just different color. You're going to develop that filter. Then you're going to switch and you're going to do blue and green. This is going to be a little harder because you'll see you don't have the same edges anymore. Right? It's different. But it's really not that bad. Most people don't have too much trouble. The one they have trouble with most is orange and yellow, because they just have completely different color setups. You don't even see, like you get confused like crazy. You have white as an edge you're looking at, and it just seems really difficult. But to start off, switch to blue and do that for 5 days. You switch to green and do that for 5 days. 10 days per pair, right? 3 of them, 30 days. At the end of the 30 days, you're then going to start switching to doing any color that looks to be the best. So this whole time though, it's not 30 days, it's 25 days, because you won't have done white. So, and you have only done 4 days for this, so you actually end up getting 26 days to practice doing that. You're going to switch between only those colors. So I did green for 10 days, or 5 days. I do white or blue for 5 days, red, orange. Stick to it. Don't give up. That is the key. That is the reason why everyone fails with this and says they can't do it, because they don't stick to it. Your times are going to be shitty, but who cares? Because in the long run, you're going to get so much better times from it, because you're going to have so many more opportunities for better crosses, that it's not going to make a difference. And it's only a month. Like, I guess if you're 40 seconds, in a month you could have dropped 5 seconds or more. But instead of dropping 5 seconds, which will happen eventually anyways, you can develop a skill that will eventually help you drop 30 seconds almost. So, I mean, yeah, it's very beneficial. Sticking to it is key, though. You have to make sure you don't give up and you don't stop. Once you've gotten used to all the colors, then you're going to start for the last 6 days of this month, or whatever it is, you're going to start finding the best cross. Take as long as you need. I know this is difficult because a lot of people think, oh, I'm just cubing for fun, or I hate having to work so hard on it, but trust me, if you're 30 seconds for 10 seconds, it's worth it. For 10 seconds, you'll probably understand this better because you'll realize how important something like a second or two can be. But even if you're faster, or even if you're slower, like, it's really, really worth it. It may seem kind of tedious and annoying, but the benefits will so greatly outweigh it, especially in the long run. Now, the sooner you do this, obviously, the better. It'll be, if you do a cross, switch to color neutral earlier, it'll be easier. I switched when I was at 30 seconds, using the same concept. I just said, I'm going to stick to a color, learned it, sweet. Go to the next, and the next. Now, a lot of people probably have a different method. They say, just do both of these at the same time. Well, I think that's good in terms of developing that, that comfort between switching, but I don't think that's going to help you, because I think you'll tend to default to the color you're most comfortable with. You'll see that pair easier. So if you force yourself to, or you see that colors cross easier. So if you force yourself to stick to a single color, you'll be forced to take only that cross, and it'll help you develop it. Plus, it'll make sure that you don't get weak at developing crosses. So, like, you don't just always choose the easier cross. In this case, in the beginning at least, you'll actually still practice your crosses. They'll be just as difficult as they normally would be, but they'll just be on a different color. Yeah. So then once you get to your last 6 days, you're basically going to be switching. You're going to choose the best cross possible, take as long as it takes to find that cross. So if it takes you 30 seconds to look at every cross, make sure you do that. Now, when you're actually solving color neutral, you don't always find the optimal cross. Sometimes you find the cross that looks easiest, sometimes you find the cross that sticks out. Most of the time, if I find a cross that is decent, that is, let's say, less than 6 moves, I'll go for it. Because that's an easy cross. Like, that's not going to take very long. And a lot of times I find crosses that are less than 5 moves, normally. So yeah, it'll make things a lot quicker for you. And during these 6 days, you're really going to focus on getting comfortable with finding your cross quickly. So you're going to start out and you're going to take as long as you want. Then, after, let's say, 2 days of doing this, and this is every solve you do, not just your practice solves, not any of this, every solve you do should be this way. If you stick to it like that with that much determination, there's no way you won't get through this in a month. You're going to start out and do as long as it takes. Then once you're still sort of comfortable with that, you're going to move to 30 seconds. You need to find your cross and plan your cross and be ready to execute it in less than 30 seconds. Then 20, then 15. That's the idea. You just basically work it all down. You're going to window it down. By the end of the month, you should be able to do your crosses in less than 15 seconds. Assuming you do every single one like this, every solve you ever do is done color neutral and it's done the way it should be done, you should be fine. So yeah, I 100% believe this is possible. I believe that by the end of 2 months, you won't even notice that you're doing it anymore. And by the end of 1 month, it should be very possible for you to do it. And you should actually be relatively comfortable with it. But you have to stick to it, or else it's not going to happen. So yeah, that's my 2 cents on how to be color neutral. Might have been a little jumbled there. Sorry, I didn't particularly plan this one so well. But yeah, I did this. I switched. It's totally worth it. People who say they aren't are just probably either being lazy or stubborn. Like, all these things that I've said are things all the benefits you get from being non-color neutral, you can simply learn to do while you're color neutral. So it's the same concept. But yeah, if you guys have any questions, please comment, rate, subscribe. Thank you. Bye-bye.